The adventure games have been regarded as some of the best Sonic titles to date. Even back in the late 1990s and early 2000s, these games were almost universally praised for finally bringing Sonic into 3D, with new but familiar gameplay, larger-than-life environments, and a large cast of playable characters. You all know this by now. The real question is there any point in going back to these games and replaying them? Well, that's exactly what we'll be determining in today's video. We'll take a closer look at gameplay, story, and even post-campaign content and rank them all from a scale of 1 to 10. At the end, we'll tally everything up and give a final verdict. As I go through each category, I'll try to answer the question of... Before we move on to gameplay, I'd like to briefly touch on the visuals of these two titles. Obviously, they're a staple of these games, but let's take a quick look at Sonic Adventure 1 in particular. In case you didn't know, there have been many versions of this game throughout its history, but the only official way to play it on modern hardware is through the DX version. This version of the game offers a more realistic take on the original Dreamcast version. It's supposed to look slightly better in terms of detail. And while it does deliver on that, there's just something off-putting about it. So when I show off my Sonic Adventure 1 gameplay, I'll actually be using a mod that retextures the game to look exactly like the Dreamcast version, to give a more authentic experience. Anyways, if you want to know how to download it, I'll link a tutorial in the description, but let's move on to the gameplay. Starting with the original before working our way up to its sequel, these games have a lot to say about their gameplay feel. Sonic Adventure 1 features 6 unique characters: Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Big, and Gamma. 7 if you count Supersonic. Let's start with the blue guy first. It is his game after all. Sonic's maxed out moveset includes 6 moves, correct me if I missed any: Jump, Spin Dash, Ring Dash, Homing Attack, and Quick Jump. The last 3 were added to make navigating the 3D environment easier. If you need a bit of a reminder, the Homing Attack locks onto nearby enemies when you press jump twice. The Ring Dash lets Sonic fly along a trail of rings, and the Quick Jump helps Sonic cross otherwise unreachable areas using pads. The Homing Attack and Ring Dash become staples in almost every other 3D Sonic game, but the Quick Jump was mostly seen only in Sonic 06, and maybe Unleashed if you count the QTEs. The stages serve more as big playgrounds where you can test moves and experiment with ways to cut down time. While there are platforming elements, you can mostly skip them using moves like the Spin Dash and well-timed jumps. I mean, sure, this might let player creativity shine in some areas, but it mostly removes any challenge aspects that the stages might have had otherwise. Nearly all the bosses in Sonic's campaign, and in fact every other character's story, are really easy, which diminishes the game's challenge. Might I also add that some of Sonic moves are highly situational or nearly useless. For example, the Quick Jump can only be used on certain pads that appear rarely. It's mostly limited to scripted moments. However, the Lightspeed Dash is more problematic. You rarely need to use this, and when you do need to use it, it requires you to stop, charge, and don't forget to listen. This was addressed in Sonic Adventure 2, but for now, Sonic's extra moves seem pretty useless. Moving on to Tails. This guy has a much more simplistic style, as the only things he can do is jump, fly, swipe, and spinjitzu.
Long before time had a name, the first spin...
His levels are straightforward, easy to complete, but also fun and sometimes competitive. In these stages, you race against opponents to reach a goal, usually marked by a special object. Not much more to say here. Moving right on to Knuckles, whose gameplay style focuses on treasure hunting. Your goal for these stages is to find shards of the Master Emerald, which was broken by Eggman to release Chaos. We'll go more in depth on that later. When playing as Knuckles, you can glide, punch, climb, and dig to help you find the shards as quickly as possible. When you're close to a shard, a signal will light on your HUD, which will sound more frequently as you get closer and closer. The locations of the shards are randomized every time you play, giving you an extra challenge. Knuckles' gameplay is honestly pretty fun most of the time, and even could have been my second favorite character if another one didn't exist. Anyways, let's move on to Amy. I don't know. This is easily the most boring campaign to play in Sonic Adventure. I might say this because more than half of her story is cutscenes, but it's also because she's just so slow. Big gets a pass, leave him alone! Her main moves all center around her hammer, with her basic attack, swing attack, hammer jump, and hammer flip. As she has no quick way of gaining speed other than gradually building it up, this means that you have to be constantly running and hammer flipping if you want any chance at a fast run. Pair this with only 3 stages and you've got yourself the most boring character. The stages are well designed though, I'll admit that. But now let's talk about Big! This guy right here is my GOAT, just look at him! He is pretty slow though, like the slowest you'll be going in this game. This does mean that it takes a while to navigate the hub worlds. Did I forget about the hub worlds? Well, they're here. There's Station Square, the Mystic Ruins, and the Egg Carrier. They're mostly used as ways to get around to new stages and story parts, but they can also get really confusing if you don't know where you're supposed to be going. Back to Big. This guy's got one move, but he does it well. Fishing. The only extra things you unlock during his campaign are upgrades like the floaty, and rod upgrades that help you catch better fish. Your main goal for each of his 4 stages is to catch Froggy, and It's really emotional. Rill once cried when Chaos swallowed Froggy, then cried tears of joy when Big caught him. Fishing gets hard, like really hard. First off, you've got to have a good enough cast that a fish bites on. Then you've got to balance this gauge while trying to reel the fish in, which is especially hard if the fish decides to swim out 10, 20, even 30 meters. If the gauge fills up, Big dies from, I guess, disappointment? So yeah, these stages can get really tricky really fast. It's honestly more of a game of strategy. But throwing strategy completely out of the window, E102 Gamma's gameplay style is a fun, action-packed third-person shooter. The big thing to focus on for a stages is time and how you manage it. Sure, you might be able to rush through a level, but 1, where's the fun in that? And 2, you risk running out of time, which kills you. Instead, a better way to play is to use Gamma's gameplay by shooting enemies to gain more time. Oh, and the bosses. These, like the others in the game, are really easy and can be beaten in mostly under 30 seconds. This is useful because 3 of the 6 bosses are actually tied in with the stages, so beating them fast is necessary if you don't want to lose a life. Not much is going on for Gamma, which makes them a fast last campaign before the true ending is unlocked. Speaking of the true ending, Supersonic's campaign is unlocked after you beat all the main 6 stories. This one doesn't really count in my opinion because it's basically one boss fight that uses base Sonic's moveset. But that's it for Sonic Adventure 1. Let's see what they did to improve upon these gameplay styles in the sequel. Alright, just a quick intervention. If you want to support me even more than just watching this video right now, please do me a favor and like and subscribe with the bell turned on. I've got a lot more Sonic themed content coming out around the year, so be sure not to miss out on it. Anyways, back to the video. Sonic Adventure 2 takes Adventure 1 and trims the fat off of it. This game, for one, has no hub worlds and instead has a detailed stage select screen, making level navigation a lot easier. There's also only 3 core gameplay styles now: the speed stages, treasure hunting stages, and the fan least favorite, the mech stages. Let's start with almost everyone's favorite style, the speed stages. There's a total of 12 of these, split across both Sonic and Shadow, who both share really similar moves. However, Sonic has 2 abilities that Shadow doesn't, the bounce and magic hands. But these moves don't really do much, so it's fine that Shadow can't use them. Outside of that, these characters play identically. You've got the spin dash, homing attack, ring dash, and somersault. The somersault is new to Adventure 2 and lets the hedgehog slip under tight spaces. The ring dash is also heavily buffed, letting you dash instantly when pressing the action button. The only downside is that the ring dash is the only action you can do when you're over a trail of rings, but other than that, this is a major improvement. The stages outside of a select few have been transformed from vast open spaces to tightly packed levels. This means that alternate pathways are usually stacked on top of each other instead of to the side, which is more akin to the classics. This means that skips that are to the level of Adventure 1 are basically non-existent here, so utilizing your full moveset is crucial when trying for a good rank. Speaking of the ranks, this system was introduced in this game, meaning your score matters more than ever. These range from A all the way to E, and take things like score, time, and cool into consideration when deciding your rank. During a first playthrough, it's very rare to get an A rank, so you usually be getting C's, D's, or even E's. This is very much intentional as it gives the player an actual incentive to replay all the stages and execute them perfectly, something that the newer Sonic games are lacking severely in terms of replayability, except for Crossroads strangely enough, so I hope this means we'll see the return of the hard ranking systems in future games. In each of these stages, there's also one golden beetle that's hidden in the level, which gives the player 1,000 points for killing it, meaning this is basically a must for an A rank. Anyways, that's enough for the speed stages, let's move on to the treasure hunting. There's 10 of these, 5 for Knuckles and 5 for Rouge, who see other new character, Gerald. Get out of here with your monologue! The moveset from Adventure 1 stays basically the same here, but now you can dig in walls, which sometimes leads to a different path. Your goal is still to find 3 pieces of treasure, whether that be the Master Emerald shards or Chaos Emeralds. My favorite stage from the bunch is probably Prison Hall, because it's a tightly packed map with the added challenge of a time limit. The radar has been severely nerfed though, as now it only detects 1 piece of treasure at a time. This can make finding treasure really frustrating, especially in stages like Mad Spaceship and Meteor Herd. But I will admit, this delivers a much needed challenge boost that Adventure 1 severely lacked. Moving on to the final gameplay style, the mech. This one is my least favorite, but let's start with the positives. These stages are highly reminiscent of Gamma's, with enemies everywhere. They're honestly pretty satisfying sometimes. Alright, that's enough. Most of these stages drag on for way too long. Cosmic Wall took me over 10 minutes. These stages tried to replicate Gamma, but took away one of the best things about its gameplay, the time limit. The jump, I feel, is really underpowered too. Also, there's the problem that stems from the very gameplay style itself. Why mechs? It makes no sense to put Tails in a mech. Why couldn't he just get his moves from Adventure 1 and some more difficult races across the same stages that they built for the mechs? They'd fit pretty well in my opinion. All you need to do is put enemies in the sky and give Tails his dummy ring bomb from 06.
But what about Eggman? Then he'd be the only one without a mech.
There's literally no excuse. Let's end the gameplay on a positive note with Super Sonic and Super Shadow. These characters switch up enough from their original gameplay that it can be considered its own style. Basically, you can go up, down, left, and right. That seems boring at first, I know. But you do this while listening to Live and Learn, while you fight a giant lizard in space, while switching off between Sonic and Shadow. Need I say more? So let's do a quick recap. Sonic Adventure 1 set the groundwork for most of its gameplay, but didn't come without its minor flaws here and there. Sonic Adventure 2 took what worked from Adventure 1, improved upon it, and made its levels more challenging. But Adventure 2 isn't flawless, as some cool gameplay styles from the original were lost in translation. As a whole, I think the fairest rating I can give for every gameplay style across these two games is a solid 7.5 out of 10. But now, let's move on to the story. The story starts way earlier than you may think, many thousands of years ago on what is now Angel Island. At this time, it was just an island. The Echidna tribe, in their lust for complete power, try to raid the temple solely for the Master Emerald. The chief's daughter, Tikal, pleads for them not to do this, since she'd become friends with the current guardian of the Emerald, Chaos. The clan follows through anyway, and what do you know? Chaos wipes the entire clan out. Tikal, in an attempt to stop the madness, seals herself and Chaos in the Emerald, creating the floating Angel Island. But we're not even caught up to the present yet. Let's jump forward 50 years before the event of Sonic Adventure 1, aboard the space colony Ark. You see, Eggman's cousin Maria had a rare disease called Neuroimmunodeficiency Syndrome, or NIDS, which was extremely harmful and would lead to her death if left uncured. As such, she lived aboard the Ark while Eggman's grandpa, Gerald, tried to find a cure by attempting to create the ultimate life form. His first attempt, the Biolizard, was a failure, but his second attempt, Shadow, wasn't. Because of how powerful he was, the Guardian Units of Nations, or GUN, infiltrated the Ark to try and capture Shadow. Maria sends Shadow down to Earth before they can capture him, but Maria is shot in the process. Gerald is arrested and housed in Prison Island, where he plots his revenge against GUN and rewires Shadow's memories to fulfill his mission. And if the 7 Chaos Emeralds are ever united on the Ark, it will begin its collision course towards Earth, ensuring the planet's demise. And that's just the prologue! Fast forward to the event of Sonic Adventure 1, which start with Eggman freeing Chaos from Angel Island, sending it plummeting back down to Earth. Knuckles then sets out to find the shards from the Master Emerald that were scattered from Chaos' awakening. We then see Sonic in his first encounter with Chaos in Station Square. After Chaos escapes through the sewers, Sonic heads back to Emerald Coast, where he sees Tails crash his plane. After rescuing him, the two head to Tails' workshop at the Mystic Ruins, where Eggman shows off Chaos and feeds him a Chaos Emerald that he steals from Tails. When Eggman returns to his base, he constructs a robot to hunt down another emerald that was swallowed by Froggy, Big the Cat's friend. Anyways, feeding emeralds to Chaos makes him grow, leading Sonic and Tails to realize that they need to find the other 6 emeralds before Eggman can. This leads to the two's respective storylines, with Sonic becoming less self-centered by the end, and Tails finally building the courage to become his own person, away from the protection of Sonic. This culminates in the final parts of their stories, with Sonic trusting his friends in his battle against Chaos 6, and Tails defending Station Square against Eggman without Sonic's help. Let's go back to Knuckles. After collecting some shards from Speed Highway, he runs into Eggman and Chaos. Eggman tricks Knuckles into thinking that Sonic has stolen the other Emerald shards, so Knuckles finds Sonic in Mystic Ruins and demands that Sonic gives him the shards. The Chaos Emeralds that Sonic had collected drop from his hands, and Eggman swoops them up. Knuckles then realizes he's been tricked again, which kicks off his character journey. Throughout the rest of his story, he learns of his ancestors through encounters with Tikal, and finally helps Sonic and Tails aboard the Egg Carrier. His story ends with him restoring the Master Emerald and Sky Sanctuary returning to normal. Backtracking in the timeline to the Egg Carrier, Eggman creates not only Zeta, Epsilon, Delta, and Beta, but also Gamma, a robot with seemingly no feelings. But after an encounter with an imprisoned Amy, he develops true emotions and aims to free his other brothers from the imprisonment of the robot shells. It's a really nice story about defying all odds and doing more than what you're programmed for, and ultimately leads to the self-sacrifice of Gamma, freeing the animals that were trapped inside him. Amy's story doesn't really matter, and only really exists to kick off Gamma's storyline. The final story is a short 30-minute climax in which Chaos gets his hands on the final emerald, turning him into the beast Perfect Chaos. Sonic, using the 7 Chaos Emeralds and channeling his good energy, transforms into Super Sonic. After defeating Chaos, both Chaos and Tikal peacefully retreat with the Master Emerald, ending the story of Sonic Adventure 1. Wait, am I forgetting something? Big goes fishing and rescues Froggy from Chaos. Sonic Adventure 2 opens seemingly really close to the events of the first game, with Eggman breaking into Prison Island and awakening Shadow, who already wants the Chaos Emeralds. Eggman agrees to help Shadow find them, but under the condition that Shadow works for him. We then cut to Sonic, who's been captured by Gun since they thought he was Shadow. Makes total sense. He escapes long enough to Aura Farm in San Francisco and meet up with Shadow, who coincidentally was also Aura Farming in the area. Shadow escapes, but Sonic is captured yet again and taken to Prison Island, where he just so happens to be placed in Gerald Robotnik's cell. After that, the usual Sonic stuff happens. You know, an island exploding, Eggman pissing on the moon, Sonic meeting up with the president, fighting a colossal sand monster in a pyramid. Very normal Sonic-related things. While all this is happening, Knuckles is busy searching for shards of the Master Emerald after it broke in a confrontation with Eggman, and Rouge is busy acting as a helper for Eggman and Shadow, while secretly being an agent for Gun. Sonic's team eventually meets up in the pyramid to take a rocket to Space Colony Arc, where Eggman is waiting for a Chaos Emerald that he needs to activate the Eclipse cannon. Tails tries to trick him with a fake emerald, but Eggman very easily tricks Tails into telling him the truth. He sends Sonic down to Earth where he should have died. Still on the Arc, Knuckles finds Rouge, and the two fight until Rouge slips from a ledge.
Can't she just fly?
That wouldn't do anything for the plot! Knuckles finally gets the other shards that he needed and repairs the Master Emerald. Back to Sonic, who actually survived? Using Chaos Control, he teleports back to the Ark and hurries to the cannon to stop it from firing. Along the way, he runs into Shadow, who is impressed that Sonic survived. The two race before they finally arrive at the cannon, but something's wrong. After Eggman put the final emerald into the cannon, a video of Gerald is broadcast across the world, warning him of their impending doom, before he is gunned down by a firing squad. Seeing this, the whole cast, besides Amy and Shadow, works together to stop the Ark from crashing into Earth. While they all do their own thing, Amy talks to Shadow, who's starting to remember Maria and her final wish for him. He finally decides to help out and meets up with Sonic as he and Knuckles reach the shrine at the cannon's core. Before they can do anything, the Bio-Lizard pops out from the top, and it's a quick battle with Shadow. But the Bio-Lizard, determined to destroy Earth, becomes one with the Ark, keeping it on its crash course. At last, Sonic and Shadow go super and fly out to stop the Bio-Lizard. Live and Learn plays too. Finally, after using the power of Chaos Control, they stop the Space Colony Ark from crashing into Earth. Shadow, falling back down to orbit, thinks of Maria and how he had finally fulfilled her final wish to him. Sonic, once back on the Ark, thinks of Shadow and how he had one great adventure. The story gets a 6, by the way. The concepts were there, but the execution was just meh. Alright, after game content, we've got a lot of that, but I won't drag on it for too long. Adventure 1 has a dedicated mission mode with tons of missions for each character. It's clear that most of these were designed late into development because there's no way anybody in their right minds would have you collecting flags in Lost World from a perspective that you can't even see. You can also replay every stage multiple times with a different objective for each replay. Strangely enough, you can also play the 8-bit version of Sonic 1 in the minigame screen. Sonic Adventure 2 has a bit less extra content, but still a fair amount. You can replay the stages for different objectives like in Adventure 1, but you can also A-rank each stage, which I think gives you an extra emblem. Speaking of emblems, there are 130 in Adventure 1 and 180 in Adventure 2, and collecting all of them gives you a special reward in each game. There's also the fan-favorite Chao Gardens, which, I'll be honest, I didn't like them all that much. Now wait, I didn't play them that much, so I think my highest level Chao was like a level 2, so I definitely didn't see everything. But I put my Chao in some races and karate competitions, and I was mostly just sitting there, watching things happen. The Chaos look adorable, but I probably won't be touching this part of the game for a while. Overall, I think there are a lot of reasons for the average player to want to come back for these games, to at least do something. For that reason, this category gets an 8 out of 10. So, after tallying everything up, the adventure games get a 21.5 out of 30. Now, this doesn't look that good off the bat, but this is just my opinion. And really, this video doesn't do justice to how much of a fun, albeit janky experience these games actually are. They're such a good time, and more likely than not, they're on sale right now on Steam for like $4 each. So, to answer the question, yes, you should absolutely play the adventure games in 2026. and not just to say that you played them. These games offer so much replay value for so little of a price, you'd be doing yourself a disservice by not picking them up. Thanks to everybody who's still watching, your support really means a lot whether you've liked and subscribed or not. The next video I'm doing in this series will be on Sonic Heroes, expected around a month from now. Anyways, that's all.